Hello everybody, and welcome to a very quick Photoshop tutorial video whereby I'm going to go through the Instagram border thing that I do, where you have like a landscape photo, then a portrait photo, then a landscape photo, and sort of put together in the feed. It all looks quite nice and neat. So lots of you have asked me about it, and I thought I'd do a quick video explaining how I do it. It wasn't my idea. I copied literally hundreds of people who'd done it before me, but I figured out how to do it, and there may be an easier way, but this is how I do it, and lots of you have asked me to do a video on it, so here we go. Before I do that, I'd very quickly like to mention a project that I worked on with Epidemic Sound last month, the company that I get all my music from for my videos. And basically, well, have you seen a David Attenborough program recently? You know, like Our Planet and Blue Planet and stuff like that, where he just commentates wonderfully about all nature and animals fighting and all that kind of stuff. Basically, I would like to be David Attenborough, and as a result of that, I worked with Epidemic Sound on a project that gave me that opportunity last month. And well, rather than animals, I did some commentating on vloggers at VidCon. And I think it turned out brilliantly. I think it's awesome. So I'll link it in the description, the video that we worked on. And if you'd like to support my burgeoning new career of being David Attenborough, then I'd really appreciate it if you wouldn't mind the few minutes of checking it out. I mean, I've got all the gear, as you can see. All the gear, no idea. But yeah, that was good fun. Anyway, on to the Instagram tutorial. Right then, folks, pretty straightforward this. As you can see, I've got an image of a Sri Lankan farmer here. He was going quite slowly on his tractor and it looked quite nice, so I thought I'd take a photo of him and his tractor. And the first thing we need to do, as you can probably tell, this is going to be a landscape shot. I just need to make sure the crop is right. So I'm going to make sure that it's 275 by 215. I've found that is the best aspect ratio for this, but you may find something slightly different. So that is currently the right crop, which is perfect. The other thing that I need to do is go to image size, and then make sure that the image is 3000 pixels wide. Now, it's been about 18 months since I did this, so I can't really remember the theory for why I picked certain aspect ratios and certain image sizes, but again, you may find something slightly different. This just works well for me. So 3000 pixels wide, computer's taking an age. Perfect, job done. I'm gonna make that slightly bigger, and then I'm going to create a new layer. Now, the reason for the new layer is going to become clear in a minute, but it's probably the most important part of the process. I'm going to go back to my image layer, and I'm going to go Command and then click on the thumbnail on my Mac. I think it's Control on a PC. Once I've done that, I'm going to go Select, Modify, Contract. And I'm going to contract this selection by 100 pixels and click OK. Again, taking an age, perfect. Then I'm going to go back to my new layer and I'm going to make sure that white is selected. I'm going to go to my fill tool, and in this border, I need to go select inverse first. And in this border, I'm going to go bang with the white. Perfect, and that is my border. Now, the reason that it's important that I did that on a new layer is that if I go back to my image layer now, and then to the move tool, I can now move this image independently of the border. So I can transform it if I like to change the size of the image. Oh, this computer is having an absolute mare, but you get the idea. The other advantage of doing this on a new layer, doing the border on a new layer, is that I can bring in other images without having to go through exactly the same process every single time. So as you can see, I've got an image here underneath the Sri Lankan one that I'm just going to bring up above it. And again, I can do the same thing. So if I want to transform it, I can, or if I just want to move it down to make sure that the image is in roughly the right place. Oh no, that's completely the wrong place. This computer has got something up with it. I don't know what it is, but it's not playing ball. But yeah, you get the idea. And it's exactly the same process for portrait, except for the fact, and I'll have to go through this process again, but I'll just make sure the crop is right. Obviously the crop needs to be the other way for portrait orientation shots, which it is perfect. I then need to make sure that it's the right size. So image size, height 3000 pixels this time, so that's perfect. And then I need to go Command, click the thumbnail, and this time, and again, no idea why I've picked this contract size on the portrait ones, I'm going to go 130 pixels. versus 100 on the landscape shots. Again, I can't offer you an explanation as to why I've done that, but yeah, 2 years ago I decided that was the way to do it. Then I'm going to go inverse, and once again I'll go to a new layer, and with my fill tool I'm just going to paint with white. Deselect, and then if I wanted to, obviously I could play around with the size of this image. That looks pretty good though on here. I don't think I need to crop the image to fit this border. And if I wanted to, I could go to another image and I could duplicate and just pull into the file that I've been working on, which I think is that one. Go back, yes, perfect. I need to make sure this is under the border, and then I can go to my move tool and play around as I see fit. Obviously this is a huge image, so I can bring it down in size, which I could have done before bringing it into this file, but yeah, you get the idea. Basically, that's the process. Simple as that. So that's that, really. Pretty simple. The only other thing to mention is that when you're uploading your images to Instagram, you need to press the corner button so that the photos go to their natural shape and they're not square, because otherwise that won't work for the effect. But nothing more to mention on that front, I don't think. Pretty simple, as I say. Oh, actually, the reason that I do this, other than it looking pretty, well, I started doing it just because it looked pretty, but the reason I've carried on doing it mainly is because it forces me to, A, try and take lots of pictures that are both landscape and portrait orientation. So I found that before, when I started using Instagram and I started using it as my main kind of place of portfolio, I guess, I was only really uploading photos that were either portrait orientation or could be cropped sensibly to a 1:1, which I just found a bit of a shame, because I missed out on sharing lots of landscape photos that I liked, which is silly. And also I found it's forced me to look at images that I maybe otherwise wouldn't have when I get back to edit photos. So if I've been in the field and I've not been sure about certain compositions or whatever, previously I'd have probably just glossed over them in the edit, maybe not have even uploaded them to my Lightroom catalogue. But now I upload them all and I pay all images serious attention, particularly if I'm looking for images that are either landscape or portrait orientation. I might look at them more closely, pay a bit more attention to them in editing, and I've salvaged some of my best photos, what have turned out to be my favourite photos, off the back of doing that. So I really like this practice as almost an exercise in looking at your photos more closely and looking at your compositions more closely and forcing yourself to work in more closed parameters than you otherwise might in ordinary circumstances. I mean, I've given Instagram a lot of grief in my videos over the past sort of year or so, but this is one of the positives I find of using it as a kind of portfolio for your images, is that you can create constraints for yourself, which do, I think, benefit you as a practicing photographer. Anyway, until the next time, hopefully that was useful, and if you wouldn't mind checking out that video I did with Epidemic Sound, that'd be great too. I'll link it, as I said. Cheers!